This is the history of Singapore, or whatever. So, this is Malaysia. Please note these are not islands but parts of continents, islands. So, back in 1867 Singapore was all fine, but then Britain sailed on over and took over everything as their new crown colonies, the Straits Settlement. While Britain was the main man in charge, the Dutch also slid in and the two shared control of Singapore. Britain did most of the dirty work though. At first Britain used Singapore to deport Indian prisoners, like they did with Australia. So a bunch of Brits moved to Singapore and didn't like the way it ran. They wanted to go and ask the Queen for control to make it independent, but the Indian Revolution happened and they got ignored. Now, before this Singapore had to answer to British-controlled India for their issues, but after the rebellion Britain forced them to send all grievances directly to London for some reason. This was stupid and took way too long to get anything done. It's World War II. Japan has now invaded and they wreck a lot of stuff up. It's no fun for anyone. Singapore falls to Japanese forces on February 15, 1941. Singapore stays under Japanese force until August 1945. So Britain disbanded the Straits Settlements colonies as a whole, however still kept the colonies as colonies. So, Singapore is now technically separate. So then Malaya, Sarawak, and Sabah created a federation of them three and kept trying to bully Singapore into joining them. If you remember the map, this is a stupid idea since there's 400 miles of ocean between Singapore and the rest of them. It's 1965 and Singapore is now separated from the federation and is its own city-state. The federation now Malaysia. Now Singapore is its own independent city-state. It quickly becomes super prosperous and one of the busiest ports in the history of forever. This is Lee Kuan Yew. He was Prime Minister from 1959 to 1990. While he leads Singapore, it became a worldwide banking and trade center. He helped make the Singapore we know today. Singapore now has a very high standard of living for its people. This means people have access to clean homes, store, and much more. In 1997 the Geneva World Economic Forum listed Singapore as the world's strongest economy. It's a beautiful place to visit and it's a great city-state in general.